Hello, this is Rob Lambert with Asset Protection Training. Sometimes some things slap you across the face, hit you so hard that you sometimes just have to share it. I'm going to take a quick look in less than 2 minutes at the President's budget message. This is the whitehouse.org site, the Office of Management and Budget page. I'm going to go right here to the budget. Click that link. There's the budget, all 300 pages of it, and I'm sure nobody's read it from start to finish. I'm going to go to the summary tables. Sorry, it's taking a little while to load. I'm going to go to table S5. That's page 210. I'm going to raise it up just a little bit. This is broken into 3 sections: outlays, receipts, and the deficit. I'm going to forget the deficit right now, and I'm going to forget receipts, which are just taxes. And I'm going to talk about outlays at first. Outlays are broken into 2 sections essentially: appropriated or discretionary programs and mandatory programs. Appropriated or discretionary programs are things like the military and the FBI, DEA, transportation, etc. Mandatory programs below it, which are a lot larger, are those that are not optional: Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, promises, commitments that have been made since the 30s, beginning with Roosevelt. Note, we have $1.3 trillion in appropriated or discretionary programs. Note that we have $2.73 trillion in mandatory programs like Social Security, and to that you have to add interest because it's also mandatory. So when you add the mandatory programs and the interest together, you're at $2.4 trillion plus of mandatory and $1.3 trillion plus of appropriated. Those are all big numbers. They don't mean anything to you when you say them that way, but now I want to look at something. Look at receipts. This is all the taxes we get. This is income tax, corporate tax, Medicare, Social Security, excise, everything. And that goes to $2.3 trillion. That means that down here we have a deficit of $1.3 trillion. All these are just numbers, but watch this parallel, watch this unique thing. The deficit is exactly equal to the outlays for appropriated discretionary programs, $1.3 trillion. What does that mean? That means that our government is borrowing all the money to pay for everything except the mandatory programs. When you see the transportation people out there, when you drive by Camp Pendleton or an Air Force base and you see all that equipment, all that's being borrowed. You're paying for that. I'm paying for it. I used to think it was no big deal. When I was a kid, I used to run around New York City and go look at the national debt clock. I got a big kick out of that. In fact, I have a picture of it here. Back then in the 90s, there was $6 trillion of debt, and I thought, oh well, I'm going to make a lot of money, it won't matter. And $67,000 was my share. I didn't think it was such a big deal. Well, guys, it's continuing to grow. It's out of control. Right now, our deficit is substantially above $16 trillion, growing to $26 trillion by the end of this decade. I want to show you something just for fun. You can go to this webpage. It's called the usdebtclock.org. It shows you the total public debt of $16 trillion. It shows us our tax revenues. This is really a helpful thing to look at. But what's really disgusting, guys, is we cannot survive without problems. It is my projection that we will see very hard times in the United States. You're going to see people not getting their welfare checks. How's that going to go over in the inner cities? You're going to see people not getting their bills paid that they expected the government to pay. You're going to see people not getting medical care, particularly older people. I'm starting to become a unit. I'm 62. I can't wait till I'm 72 and they decide when I have a heart attack that I'm too old to fix. I don't know what's going to happen, guys. I know I have taken my money out of harm's way, girded my loins, so that if, and in my mind, when this happens, I am going to be safe. My money is in several different places, diversified and unreachable, and I think you should all do the same. You at least should take the steps you can to protect your families. Thank you very much for listening to this rant. I will be back to teaching you next video. Thank you very much.